We now return to Illinois Rising, presented by the Illinois Opportunity Project, the radio show discussing honest truth about Illinois policy and politics. Here's AM 560's Dan Proft.
Dan and Joe Kaiser back on this edition of Illinois Rising. And Joe, amid all of the federal races, statewide races, legislative races, some of these local races get lost in the shuffle. They shouldn't, because your local government has more of a daily impact on you than distant government in D.C. or even Springfield. That's particularly the case with the schools, so you pay attention to school district races in the spring or referendums in the fall, as Hinsdale had, Hinsdale District 86, Hinsdale Central and South High Schools. $166 million bond issue was on the ballot, referendum question. It was defeated by a grassroots group called District 86 Can Do Better. Didn't think that with skyrocketing property taxes, a $166 million bond issue to build a natatorium was the highest, best use of their home equity. And so the response to the defeat was not gracious, let's say. Zach Model, who we've had on the show before, a family-owned manufacturing business in Lyons, Atlas Toolworks. He's also a village board member for the village of Burr Ridge. Headed up the District 86 Can Do Better grassroots campaign. Going to have a little victory party at Butterfield Country Club. But the mob isn't limited to outside Tucker Carlson's house or accosting Ted Cruz in a restaurant. It also comes to Hinsdale and Oak Brook and online. And incredibly, threatening messages with violent overtones posted on Facebook by those proponents of the property tax increase, which is what the bond issue is, causing Zach Model and in conjunction with Butterfield Country Club, with restraint being the better part of valor in the case, to cancel a victory party for a bunch of, professional, successful people on one side against professional, successful people on the other side of a bond issue in Hinsdale. It's remarkable.
It's kind of frightening, too, because like the Tucker Carlson story, kind of distant from it. It's something you see on the news, and it's whatever. It's a headline. But these referendums come up every couple of years. You see them go one way or the other, and people kind of forget about it. But if that mentality, the kind of mob mentality that it goes outside Tucker Carlson's home or goes after Ted Cruz and his wife in a restaurant, comes down to these local issues, it's just kind of frightening to know what the results are going to be and how that's going to affect our local politics and our local policy.
Ann Kipperman, 48-year-old woman in Hinsdale, posted on Facebook. She was a proponent of the referendum, the tax increase. Being nice will get us more property tax cuts. That's apparently a bad thing. And said that the scheduled celebration at Butterfield Country Club was an opportunity to, quote, fight fire with fire. In response to that, John Zwierwek, 51-year-old man in Clarendon Hills, posted a photo of charred human bodies with the message, firefighters save lives, arsonists are murderers who prefer smoke to blood. I mean, I don't. You need like a psychologist to translate the meaning, but the picture says it all. In conjunction with fight fire with fire. Unhinged, dangerously unhinged. It turns out. For more on this, and what's the state of affairs in the leafy suburbs of Burr Ridge and Hinsdale, we're pleased to be joined by Zach Model, chairman of the District 86 Can Do Better campaign. Zach, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, it's nice to be here with you, Dan and Joe. I wish we were talking about a more pleasant topic. This is simply unreal. And it is a sad commentary about what has happened on the national level, and sadly it's happening on the local level. Our campaign slogan was District 86 Can Do Better, and they can, and so can these people. The district fanned these flames. The school board fanned these flames. They had a responsibility to stand up and say, end this kind of, vitriol, but they didn't. They fanned it and encouraged it, and they gave these people false information and lies and misrepresentations of the truth, to the point that they believed all this false stuff and just whipped themselves up into a fury. It's unbelievable.
Now, to be fair, Zach, I mean, District 86 can do better. Those are fighting words. That's incendiary.
Well, not incendiary like body pictures. I mean, the district certainly can do better. We talked about a referendum. My side spoke about the facts. We spoke about the facts that this referendum was wasteful, unfair, and unaffordable, and it is. This district is spending, excess of 110% of what it takes in. It's a wealthy district. I mean, they've put themselves, whatever pickle they're in, they've created it themselves, and they need responsible leadership to turn it around.
How can Hinsdale Central and South, I know Hinsdale South is about 1,000 people under capacity. But, I mean, the two schools get merely $22,000 per kid. I mean, how can you educate somebody for that amount of money?
Right, exactly. I hear the sarcasm in your voice because we look at private schools. We look at schools like Bennett and other private schools that, by the way, operate in 100-year-old buildings and don't need a referendum to maintain them and provide a high-quality education for far less. This district is a monopoly, and it is spending out of control. Right now, they're spending almost that $22,000 per student number that you quoted, they're spending almost 90% of what they take in on teachers' salaries and benefits. None of it's going to education. And I mentioned this to the superintendent the other day, and he said, well, that is education. I said, no, it's not. That's salaries and benefits. You have facilities, you have equipment, you have all kinds of other things to spend on, and you've diverted all the money to excessive benefits. And by the way, the average pay of the teacher in this district is $110,000. That's the average pay. The superintendent makes $250,000, and he got a $45,000 raise in the last 18 months. Wow. So that's where the money is going to. And let me tell you,
and that's just salary, by the way. That's just salary.
That's his salary. And, the median household income, and this is what I told the superintendent, your teachers are far above the median household income for this area. In Willowbrook, males had a median income of $51,000 and $43,000 for females. In Darien, the household income in median for the whole house was $78,000. Males were around $71,000 and females at $46,000. Burr Ridge, the median for the whole house, $129,000. Males make about $99,000. These teachers are making far more than their taxpayers and constituents, and that's one of the messages that was sent. That was just one of the messages. And I spoke again to the superintendent. I spoke to the district. They can't figure out what happened. They think people don't want a quality education. I said, you're getting the wrong message here. You're getting the wrong message. People want a quality education.
Against education.
They just don't want to pay this.
I'm against education. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous.
Zach, why do you think the rhetoric escalated to this level? Because I followed your campaign, and you just laid out the numbers just now. You'd think even if somebody wanted to argue the points that you're making, it can be an honest disagreement and exchange of ideas. Why did it escalate to what it is right now?
Well, I think they can't win on the facts. I think when voters understand the true facts and understand it clearly, they're absolutely not going to support this district, and they're going to demand change. So since they couldn't win on the facts, they got nasty. I mean, this is a classic playbook. And in our campaign, people got worried. Signs were being stolen. Things were going crazy, all these smears on Facebook. And I encouraged everyone in our campaign, do not engage with that. If they steal our signs, we'll put up more. If you catch them, we'll call the cops. Don't get involved. Don't touch their signs. Don't get in the nastiness. Just stick to the facts, and that's what we did. We were on social media, on Nextdoor. We were on other platforms, on Facebook and things. We stuck to the facts, and that's what we won on. So they got nasty because they had no better response. I think the only thing that they didn't try in this district, down in Florida, they didn't need Dr. Law. They needed Dr. Snipes and a few old cars with boxes of ballots. That was the only trick they didn't turn to.
Well,
and I wonder what Dr. Snipes was before she was a ballot, whatever she is down there. She was a school district superintendent before she found more lucrative work. So this is the kind of thing that we expect in our education.
Well, I'll tell you, it's fun. It's interesting to watch the temper tantrums. Kevin Williamson at National Review had a good piece the other week about people who behave like this, these Facebook posts that we mentioned. Rage makes you stupid. And it also makes you self-destructive. So not only are they all in to liquidate their own homes for swimming pools, they also were suggesting that local businesses who who opposed the referendum be boycotted. So now we're going to destroy our local business. We're going to try and destroy our local business community. That'll show who.
themselves, because that's their tax base. I'll tell you, those local businesses are the biggest payers of property taxes for your school. So you destroy the tax base. I mean, these people, they just don't understand what comes first, the cart and the horse. They are so out of order here. I mean, it's unbelievable boycotting the businesses.
Well,
I can't.
And it is, and boy, I got to tell you too. I think there's a lot of middle-income people in some of those surrounding areas, like Willowbrook and Darien, that look at this and look at the conduct and say, "Oh, right," and I'm supposed to entertain lectures from the wealthy and the highly educated about what civility looks like and about what policies we should be pursuing and so forth. This is all part of the revolt against the ruling class that has taken different form but sort of spread across the nation, except in Illinois.
That's right. This was a veto. In Latin, that means I forbid, and that's what the voters told this district. I forbid you to push this on me. This was the hardworking people in most of the district telling the elites in part of the district, trying to force this excessive tax increase, this bloated, $40 million swimming pool down their throats. That we don't want that. That's not in line with our values. We don't support that. And they lost a lot of voters not only with that attitude, but with the attitude of again, the craziness, the smear, the boycotting, the threats, all of that stuff. That just turns people off. So, I'm sorry that they played that way, but it really only helped us win. It's just so unfortunate. I hope that in the future we can have discussions related to the facts, because they're still wondering what our side is. We've told them our side. They just weren't listening. They were so busy yelling and screaming. And this is kind of behavior that we saw in the campaign. They would not tolerate it from their children. And if the school district, if I was doing it to the district, they'd be arresting me. Yet the district stood up on stage, bullied me, the superintendent, the board president, screaming my name, screaming and bullying me, and saying all kind of horrible things about my family. I mean, they wouldn't tolerate it if the shoe was on the other foot, but for them, whatever it takes.
Well, maybe you take the crew out to Northwest Indiana, an ice cream parlor out there for your celebratory event, since you can't do it in this state, apparently. He is Zach Model. He's executive with his family's manufacturing business, Atlas Tool Works in Lyons. He's also a Village of Burr Ridge trustee, and he headed up this District 86 Can Do Better opposition to a property tax increase campaign in Hinsdale and District 86. Zach, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Great to be with you today, Dan and Joe. You take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.